What's up YouTube, it's your boy Mutsa K and this is Mutsa K TV. I'm so sorry I've been MIA for the last couple of weeks. I've just been dealing with life, drama and all that. Some of these things we're going to figure it out on my channel. But I'm back and yeah. Before we get right into this video, I want you to do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you're new to this channel, and make sure you turn on your post notifications so you'll never miss a thing, honey. And if you're a returning subscriber, honey, let's get right into the video. Before we get into this video, can we acknowledge that your boy is coming out with some natural hairdos today and I'm absolutely loving it. I have been a bit bored and I didn't know what to do for my next hairstyle, but I am enjoying just being free and letting my hair breathe. Right, so let's begin with the story. We're going to take it back to the New Year's Eve of, I think it's 14 or 15? It could be 2015. The New Year's Eve of 2015 or 14, it's one of the two. Anyway, I had gone out that day and then I ended up at my cousin's place. We were just doing a boys hangout. But they had plans to go out and I was just gonna go home, and then my uncle was like, why don't you go out with the boys? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I love hanging out with them anyway, and we don't get to see each other that often because everyone was, had already started this uni life or just being in different countries and just not, we just didn't get to see each other that often. So it was definitely a good thing to do, and I was really excited. So we got to the village. It's this place called The Village in Harare. There's this club. It had a different name then. I think it was H2O or something. We wanted to go there, but the problem was it was really, really full, obviously because it was New Year's Eve. So a lot of people, had gone in early and all that. So they said we could wait or we could just move to the other place. But the odds of somebody actually coming out early on New Year's Eve are just zero. Everyone's going to be leaving the bar around 3, 4, 5. So that being said, we moved over to a bar close by and they had set up this section for the peasants, that night being us. And then they turned the actual club into the VIP section. And it was actually really, really nice. So it was like, it wasn't an open bar, but it was a cool setup really, that's all I can say. And so we got in, we got our first round of drinks, it was great, we were dancing, having a good time, and then I got a second one. Now this second drink, I do not remember finishing it. But I do remember at some point I was talking to myself in the parking lot saying that no one was going to rob me. And that is the last thing I remember.
Much later.
The next thing is that I woke up in an ambulance. I could hear my mother's voice in the background saying, hey, he's lost 2 phones. Hey, what? So, I wanted to open my eyes, but I was also I just heard what my mom said and I was scared I was going to be in trouble. So I decided to try search my pockets while I was, on the gurney, but there was a blanket over. And I found out that I was just in my boxers, hey? Just in my boxers. So now I was really going, hey, what happened to me? I passed out again, to be honest, and then I remember waking up. This time I could see lights, so I was still on a gurney, but I saw my uncle and my aunt on one side and I saw my parents on the other. So I looked at my aunt and I was just like, what happened? And then she was like, we're waiting for you to tell us that. And I'm like, what do you mean? So at this point I thought that maybe me and my cousins had gotten into maybe a car accident or something. So I was not worried about them. So I remember asking my aunt, where are my cousins? What's happening? And then she was like, everyone's fine. They're home. It's just you. So that kind of had me feeling like, wait a minute, hold up. pull up. So yeah, guys, I'm sorry the heat. My face is just struggling to hold. Anywho, so from then I was freaking out, and I remember my parents were trying to tell me about some guy and a phone, but it didn't make sense to me. Someone else had been claiming he had been robbed, but what he was saying he had been robbed was like this brick phone. But then I don't even know how I was now being mixed up in all that. And I remember my mom was even telling him like he's got his own 2 phones, like so. And wait, I didn't have that either. I left one of the phones in the car, and I think the other one was on me. Mind you, that very night is the first night I went out with the new phone my sister had just gotten me. So when I heard my mom saying he lost 2 phones, I was actually freaking out because I didn't know how I was going to explain that to my sister. Thank God the phone turned out to still be there. So what the story was really about, I don't know. It never really got, I wouldn't say resolved, but no one bothered to chase it up. I didn't on my end, nor did the other people on their end. We all don't really know what was happening. But yeah, that being said, I was really worried because now I didn't understand what was happening at all. So at some point I decided to, I needed to use the toilet. So about 3 nurses came to help me. I thought that was a bit dramatic. But I didn't really care at the time. I just really needed to use the toilet, so I was just like, whoever wants to come can just come. So we got there, I used the toilet and everything. So I think when I was washing my hands, I then looked up and then I saw my face. Hey! I was horrified, guys. It was just scary. It was really, really terrifying. I couldn't understand how half my face was looking so botched. I didn't know if I fell. I didn't know, did I get beat up or, I just didn't know. So, when I went back out, I started asking all these questions. Like, now I wanted to understand what happened to me, but no one had any answers for me. Everyone was waiting for me to answer them, but I had nothing. And I have no recollection, even to this day, of what happened. I don't know anything. What I did manage to put together was, by the time I was found, I was barely breathing. My tongue had already rolled back. If I hadn't been found around the time that I was found, I probably wouldn't be here today. So shout out to one of my best friends, Ashley. She found me, and one of my cousins as well, Taffy, who happens to be a doctor, and he's the one who actually saved my life at that time. Mind you, my cousins didn't ditch me. They looked for me everywhere. Apparently I went missing and no one knew where I was. I was just found in the ditch, and they stayed at the hospital, and then they were told to leave, and then, the parents took over. But yeah, at the end, I did get a lot of scans done, and it turned out that I was okay. There was no permanent damage, but because I was unresponsive when I was found and all these things, they had to run a lot of tests. They needed to check if I was brain dead or, whatever, because no one knew what had happened. My moral of the story is you should always be careful when you go out. Even when you're in numbers, you never know what's going to happen. So, I know a lot of people do wonder why I say I don't want to get drunk or I don't want to do certain things when I'm in public. It's because I have a fear of being robbed or raped or even being drugged again. I have this big scar that on the side of my face. It really used to bother me. I always used to try and cover it up. And I've noticed even to this day, people still ask me what happened. Did I get in a fight recently? So it used to really bother me, and it does still a little bit. So I try to cover it up as much as I can, depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes I just really don't care. But I do get irritated when people ask me what happened because I also don't know. There's stories that I was found, in a toilet, and the other one is that I was found in on some pathway or something like that. And I'm not sure which one is true between the two. But what I do know is when I remember when I was looking for my clothes and my phones in my pockets really, when I could hear my mom talking in the ambulance, shouting I lost 2 phones. I did find out later on that my clothes had been removed because they were all covered in mud and blood, like totally covered. So they couldn't keep me in that, and they needed to, I don't know what they needed to do, but I wasn't conscious of any of it. So that is what it is. So just be careful who you're around. Make sure you drink or do whatever around the right people, or just be careful if you choose to do something, because these days you never know what people are going to get up to. Some people just love, drugging other people, taking advantage of them, or just doing random things, so you should always be careful. Anywho, I hope that you guys enjoyed that story time. Until next time, stay fierce.